So my name is Dr. Kevin Saran. I'm one of the deputy political leaders of the National Transformation Alliance. I am also the candidate for San Fernando West. My co-host here is Ms. Savita Pierre, and she is the candidate for Tunapuna. So I want to share with you all a short little story. I was speaking to a politician friend of mine, somebody who was retired, and I told him, I said, you know, tell me an interesting experience you had along the campaign trail. So he goes on to tell me, back in his early days when he was walking around from door to door, there's this one time he went up to a lady house and, you know, he's saying, come out and vote for me, come meet your candidate. So this is an old lady, probably in her 80s. She is peeping through the curtain and she's saying, no, I don't want to come out. And he's well, no, come out and see me meet your candidate. So the woman said, you know, you want to buy my vote? He said, no, I don't have any money to buy a vote. So eventually she opened the door and she come out. And he said, I don't want to buy a vote, I want to win your trust. She said, son, she watched him and she said, son, you're going to lie to me and 2 hours stand up in the hot sun. Better we go inside and you can lie inside for me. 2 hours you can lie inside for me then. Now, we have a proud, really powerful lineup of speakers coming up here. And I'll hand you over to my colleague to introduce the first speaker for tonight.
All right, so a pleasant good evening to everyone. So our first speaker name is Shakina Sergu. Now she's a young and very dynamic woman. Shakina is a dynamic young entrepreneur, communicator, and mentor with a passion for leadership, service, and empowering women. She is the founder of May I Have Another, a thriving event and catering business known for its creativity, excellence, and heart-centered service. Driven by faith, purpose, and a commitment to making a difference, Shakina brings with her youthful energy and bold ideas to the National Transformation Alliance. One rooted in integrity, resilience, and the power of entrepreneurship. Let's welcome the next candidate, the candidate for Rima, Shakina.
Yeah, baby! You know, it's all about NTA. Here we go! Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to be here in front of all of you. As they mentioned, I am an entrepreneur and I am also the candidate representing our district of Arima. I stand before you tonight not just as a candidate, but as a daughter of this soil, a passionate entrepreneur, a dedicated mother, and a fierce advocate for our youth and women. My name is Shakina Sergu. I am proud tonight to represent the National Transformation Alliance as the candidate for Arima. Tonight, I want to talk to you about leadership. Not the kind that we have grown accustomed to, but the kind we truly deserve. For too long, the people have been forgotten. Forgotten by politicians who show up only at election time with sweet talk and empty promises. Forgotten by a system that sees our young people as problems instead of the solution. Forgotten by leaders who serve themselves before they serve the people. But let me tell you something, that ends now. Leadership is not about talk. It is not about wearing a red or yellow jersey. Leadership is about vision. It is about integrity. It is about action. It is about showing up for the people every single day with transparency, compassion, and courage. I present a new generation of leadership. Leaders who knows what it means to fight, to work hard, to rise above the odds. I am not here tonight to play politics. I'm here to serve the people. I am here because I understand the hunger of our youth, the struggle of our families, and the power that lies within our communities. Our young people are not lazy. Some are not lost. They are not hopeless. They are powerful, creative, determined, and hungry for opportunity. But what have they been given? An education system that fails to equip them with 21st century skills? A job market that tells them that experience is required before giving them the chance to gain any? A society that judges them more than it mentors them? We need to break this cycle. We need to stop failing our youth and start investing in their potential. And that is exactly what I intend to do. Under the NTA government, and with your support, I will fight for a radical reimagining of our youth engagement and empowerment across the country. Young people will have a seat at the table and their voices will count. But our vision doesn't stop there. We will advocate for the reform of the education system to make it more aligned with these realities of modern world. That means making entrepreneurship, life skills, financial literacy, and civic education core parts of the curriculum. It means equipping schools with proper resources and ensuring that every child has access to devices and connectivity. And to our single mothers, hardworking fathers, our teachers, and our guardians, we will support you too. Because raising and guiding our youth is a shared responsibility. The truth is, our youth doesn't just need opportunities. They need hope. They need someone who believes in them. They need someone who will fight for them. I am here to be that fighter. I am here to bring real representation. I am not afraid to call out injustice, and I will not sit quietly while our young people fall through the cracks. I bring you leadership that is grounded in purpose, driven by compassion, and committed to results. I say to you tonight from the heart, I believe in you. Every one of you. I believe that every youth deserves a chance to shine. I believe that our country can be a model of innovation, empowerment, and transformation. I believe that we can reject the politics of the past and build a future that we can all be proud of. So, to every young person listening, stand tall. You are not invisible. You are not powerless. You are not too young to lead. You are exactly what this country needs. And to every voter, if you are tired of empty promises, if you are ready for someone who will show up and deliver, if you are ready for a movement that puts people before politics, then vote for the NTA. Vote for vision. Vote for voice. Vote for the future. Thank you. Let us rise and transform Trinidad and Tobago one community at a time. Vote NTA. Join us on our journey to transformation.
Griffith got the plan, go blue. So let us save our nation. No!
That was a very powerful and enlightening speech. We could do better than that. Let's give her another round of applause. So last week I was on the campaign trail, and I'm walking through with a couple of people, and I have a mic man following me. We reached an area where, it's an open compound in front of a man's house, and the dog sat back. But the man came out. So I went up to the man and said, my name is so-and-so, and I introduced myself. But the dog continued to bark. The man turned to me and he said, that dog does only bark PNM and UNC. But I said, well, I wear in blue. I'm not PNM, I'm not UNC. I want to know what's going on. The dog bust the chain and head towards the mic man. So I say, well, this mic man had to be either PNM or UNC. So the man said the dog will know which one it is. So I say, how the dog will know which one it is? So you just had to follow the song. And the song is go right foot, then left foot, so the dog is bite in order. So I say, well, how are you going to know if it's at UNC? You say you go by the left foot first. All right. I'll now hand you over to Sivita, who will introduce our next speaker.
All right, so I'm sure we all enjoyed the first speaker we had, right? So let's give her a next round of applause. Our young people is doing an excellent job. So next we are going to have our candidate for La Hoqueta, Mr. Alvin. A proud son of La Pastora Road, Santa Cruz, and alumnus of St. Dominic Savio College, he began his service to this nation by joining the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard in 1974, serving honorably until 1980. He then embarked on a distinguished career with MTS, retiring 2015 as a senior leader, overseeing 656 contracts and nearly 7,000 employees. Now, if I continue to speak on him, we'll be here until midnight tonight, right? But beyond politics, he's involved in a lot of cultural advocacy, managing two soca bands and parang band, and was long-standing president of the MTS Sports Club. His expertise in curriculum development reflects a lifelong passion for training and national service. Let's welcome on stage Mr. Alvin.
We vote NTA. We want better for TNT. We want good governance, not fantasy. In the National Transform Alliance, that's the party, that's the party. I say, give TG a chance. He gonna make sure and deal with the matter because the time's real tough. And you know we not giving up. Let me see your hands up with the NTA straight to the top. We vote in NTA.
Good night, good night, good night. Well, tonight they gave me the opportunity to speak on accountability. Big word, always been used. They made mention of a lot of politicians are not being accountable and all these different types. As a matter of fact, the culture of Trinidad and Tobago is where it is that we lack accountability in every sphere. And it's about time that we plan to do something about that. Now, the first thing about accountability, which it is that we keep, saying that inputting account, foster commons in account, what is happening is that we really have to understand what the accountability is. In management, when you are given a position, when you are given a position, you have a responsibility to that position and to the people surrounding that position. You have the authority to get it done. And then, if it is that it has not been done properly, you will be held accountable for it. So this is what it is that I am speaking about with regards to accountability. And from what I am seeing is that our government has been failing miserably in accounting to us. And in accounting to the reason why I believe that they are failing to account to us is because of some type of credibility or honesty problem. That is the reason why it is that they may be problems. Now, when we look at where Trinidad is today, and we're still on the point of accountability because I have to look at accountability until the end of my time. When we look at Trinidad's position today, Trinidad is in a very, 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 very precarious position. And who is accountable for that? Who is accountable for that? The ruling government. And instead of they are trying to see how it is that they can get the population to understand, or at least apologize, say, well, all right, we make a mistake. They have not been doing that. What they're doing has been doing is lying, manipulating, just trying to get back onto the normal aspects in terms of where it is that Trinidad and Tobago is a 5-day or a 9-day memory population. Now, I didn't come here to just campaign and talk. You all are accustomed to that. You all are accustomed to people coming on the stage and making all forms of promises, all forms of, you know what I'm talking about, in terms of getting you to vote for them. What I would like you all to do is really check your own hearts. Check your hearts. Look around and see the type of service that you are being provided. Look around. Check your neighborhoods. Check to see on the block each day how many people are out of work, do not know where the next job is coming from, and a lot of hardship is going on in our communities or in our constituencies. How are we going to deal with that? The NTA has a plan. The NTA has a plan. And the NTA plan is to get us out of that situation.
All right, so we want to thank Mr. Alvin for his contribution this evening, rather. So our next speaker is Mr. Salim George. He is a passionate entrepreneur, skill builder, and committed community advocate who brings hands-on approach to leadership and service. With credentials in air conditioning, refrigeration, and building construction, Salim has played a vital role in infrastructure projects across Trinidad and the wider Caribbean. A former owner of a beloved food establishment in Bagatelle, he now operates as an importer of Caribbean goods, continuing to support local economies and regional trade. Known for his integrity, work ethic, and grassroots connection with people, Salim now steps forward as the National Transformation Alliance candidate for Diego Martin Northwest, carrying the powerful message, love for all and hate for none. Let's welcome on stage Mr. Salim.
Thank you. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and I thank you for the welcome from one and all. All protocols observed. Good evening, Sangre Grande. It's a true pleasure to be here tonight, standing alongside my colleague, Ms. Christine Hossain, who is ready to bring fresh energy and real representation to the people of Toko Sangre Grande. Christine, thank you for representing the people of Trinidad and Tobago in this constituency, Kamuto Manzulina. Your commitment to service is inspiring, and I'm proud to support your journey. This time, Christine has gone blue. So, I will say once again, I greet you tonight with fire in my heart, purpose in my soul, and determination in my strides. My name is Salim George, and I'm proud to stand before you as the NTA candidate for Diego Martin Northeast. I am not here to deliver empty promises. I am here to offer real change, measurable change, the kind of change that delivers results, and not just erotics. Tonight, I want to speak to you about something we have never truly had in Trinidad and Tobago. Real, measurable performance from members of parliament. Yes, performance. Because leadership without results is nothing but a title. Let me ask you this. When you go to work, you are expected to perform. If you're a nurse, if you're a teacher, a mechanic, or even a vendor, you have deliverables. You have people depending on you. You are held accountable. And if you don't perform, there are consequences. So tell me this. Why should it be different for politicians? Why should members of parliament collect fat salaries, receive all perks, and disappear without performance? Why should they be allowed to serve 5 years with nothing to show, no report, no updates, no engagements with the people? Well, those days are done. Under the National Transformation Alliance, we are flipping the script. We are holding politicians accountable. And that starts with one of our core principles, measurement of performance. This is not a slogan. It is a system, and it is a strategy, and it's a structure. This is how it works. Every MP have clearly defined annual performance goals. We will track and publicly report on the progress of these deliverables. Constituents will receive monthly updates, whether through WhatsApp, town halls, newsletters, or even the social media. Budgets will be transparent, spending will be visible, and most important, non-performance will have consequences. No more invisible MPs, no more broken promises, no more 5 years and disappearing arts. You will know exactly what your MP is doing, what they have accomplished, and what's pending. Because you deserve to know. Because your vote also matters. And to be exact, this is what representation should look like. Yeah? Persons being accountable and persons being able to show exactly what they are being paid for, basically. Yeah? Now, some may say, Salim, this sounds good, but is it possible? Let me tell you something. It is not just possible. It has already been done. Our political leader, Mr. Gary Griffith, has applied the same approach when he was once Commissioner of Police. He introduced a system of leadership, accountability, management, and measurement of performance. This is what we call our LAAMP model. I guess it worked. Yeah? Crime went down, emergency response time improved, community confidence in the police service grew, officers were evaluated, rewarded, and corrected based on data, not on favors. So if it worked for the TTPS, it can also work in the parliament. It will also work in Digomatin Northeast, and I can work right here with Ms. Hossain in Toko Sangre Grande and other NTA members. It will work. We plan to bring real key performance indicators to politics. We want to target things like road repairs and maintenance, school upgrades and youth programs, healthcare delivery, job creation, and small business support. We'll also want to engage in community and crime prevention programs. Imagine this: a public dashboard for MPs, updated monthly, where you can track their commitments, even knowing that your MP has to face you every quarter to explain what he or she has done. Imagine having the power to measure their performance, to question their progress, and to expel their excellence. This is what transformation really brings. That's the standard we are planning on setting. And that's the start. And that we have to start right now. Not just for my constituency of Bagatel, Monkoko Road, Blue Basin, Diamond Vale, but for every single community will feel the impact of accountable, measurable leadership. It is not to decorate a chair in a parliament, and I'm not here to make sweet talk and disappear. I'm here to work, to deliver, and to perform. Because I know what you and I face on a daily basis. The reality, we are going to change together. The reality is, we are going to change this together. And let me be clear, this isn't just about being better than other parties. This is about creating new political culture, a new era, where results are more than race, where performance matters more than party, and where people matter more than politics. So, I say to every voter, if you are tired of waiting for water, vote for performance. If you are tired of being ignored, vote for transparency. And if you want an MP to show up, speak the truth, and get things done, vote for NTA candidates. Let's stop rewarding those who failed to deliver. Let's stop excusing poor representation. And let's stop settling for less. With your support, we will launch digital feedback platforms for constituents, host monthly meetings, and give constituents reports on things that are being done. Advocate and legislate that forces all MPs to do the same. Because the people deserve better, and I am here to fight for that better. So on the day of election, I'm asking you to take a stand, not just for me, not just for NTA, but for you and your family and for your future. Let's raise this bar together. Let's perform, let's transform. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night.
Save our nation. No! NT, we vote in NTA. Voting, we vote in NTA. Voting, we vote in NTA. Voting, we vote in NTA. You're good to go, you're great to go on.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Commander Dindial, your constituent candidate for Shogona East, and I'm proud to be here representing you all and here in Toko, Sangre Grande, big blood city, big blood city.
Good evening, everybody. It is indeed, well, thank you. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be here among you this evening. I'm here with the commander, well-known commander and protector. And, I am Russell Chan. I represent Digger Martin Central. I bring greetings from the people of Digger Martin Central because we are all one and the wind of change is blowing tonight and together we will transform the country.
We are your co-hosts for this evening, the second half of this evening proceedings, and you recognize Russell. You see the size of Russell? This is the big, gentle giant. Look at the size of Russell. But you have the blue Spartan commander here with you all today for the NTA Army. We had to bring in more chairs. The house full. Give yourselves a round of applause. Look at the support we have here tonight. Look at the support. We're bringing in more chairs. People are still coming in despite the traffic outside and the roadworks that is going on. You know roadworks going on, right? Roadworks going on when election time. Only wrong election time roads was going on. We think about it.
Well, it's normal, every election time you find the same thing going on. And during, the time before election, people suffer. And I think, Norman, are really feeling a change in the country because, people are tired of the same old same. You go, people paving Santa Cruz, mass paving in Santa Cruz, coming up here tonight. And I think we are tired of that, Norman.
Definitely, we're tired of that. And I've been walking around my constituency, and while walking around my constituency, I am only hearing people talking about this is the time they're paving, this is the time they're looking about box drain, this is the time they're fixing lights. Why? That is a matter of course. Your candidates, your MPs are supposed to do that as a matter of course. Like getting up in the morning and brushing your teeth, that is what they're supposed to be doing. They're not supposed to be coming around to your constituency and telling you, I have fixed your roads. That is what they're supposed to be doing. They've been being able to do that. They're not. They're campaigning on other things. But it is not about us tonight. We are about to see your candidates that you have here going up for you. Russell?
All right. So, our next speaker was elected as a member of parliament representing the constituency of Kamuto Manzanilla. She was also a special advisor to the ministers of state in the ministries of trade and industry, tourism and housing and the environment, as well as an advisor to the Prime Minister during the 10th Parliament. She held a portfolio of Minister of the People and Social Development during the 10th Parliament and has awarded the Prime Minister's Award for Innovation and Invention, Mentor Award in 2004. Ms. Nalo Hussain has received various diplomas and certificates over the past years and continues to enrich her capabilities by pursuing an MBA from the Angela Ruskin University, based in the United Kingdom. Let's have a grand welcome to our Deputy Chairman and the next Member of Parliament for Toko Sangre Grande, Christine Nalo Hussain.
Watch all the crime red crap. Uploading like a clown, wanna chat, yes, we appointment down. Oh, yeah. Guy Griffith wanna serve. Give the country what they deserve. You know he does guy lock, hit the PNM straight outside the car. We vote in NTA. Go blue. NTA is the way. Go blue. Gary Griffith got the plan. Go blue. So let us
Sangre Grande. Toko. Good evening, Toko Sangre Grande. Good evening. Give yourselves a round of applause. It's a privilege to stand before you here today, not just as a candidate, but as a woman of service, ready to help manage the future of our country with discipline, integrity, and vision. This evening, I join with my fellow candidates, my colleagues, in speaking to you about the LAAMP model. And I will speak with you about management, the third pillar in the NTA's LAAMP model. So we had leadership, we had accountability, and now we have management. And management isn't about telling people what to do. Are you accustomed with people telling you what to do? Come here, go there, shut up, sit down. That's not management. That is what we are accustomed to, and we believe that is management. It's about using resources wisely. prioritizing people and delivering results. For too long, we have seen governments squander our potential, not for a lack of money, but because of poor management. Look around our communities. We had Russell and we had Commander Norman just say to us that roads are being done. Why? Because they were left undone until now. Does that make any sense? Schools under-resourced. Today I brought toilet paper and soap to this school because they don't have any health centers without basic supplies. Is this a country that lacks resources? No. What we lack is proper management of what we have. And that's where the NTA comes in. The LAAMP model offers a new way forward, a results-driven, people-focused approach to governance. And the management arm of that model is where change truly happens, where transformation truly happens. Under the NTA management principles, every dollar will be accounted for. No more bloated contracts, ghost projects, or unkept promises. You would notice as we go out on the field and even as our political leader who flew in, he landed and came straight here because he knew how important you are. Flew in, left his wife who is ill, flew in because he understands what it means to honor his word. A man of honor. But you have been accustomed to unkept promises for so long that you automatically assume that everyone else who comes will also be in that same position of keeping unkept promises. No more. Not under the NTA management. Budgets will be realistic and aligned with outcomes. We'll invest where it matters. Schools, infrastructure, public health, safety, and rural development. Toko Sangre Grande, you are rural. And yet, government after government after government continues to keep you as a rural community. Is that right? No, it's not. It's time you understand that the power is in your hand to transform this constituency and go throughout Trinidad and Tobago, transforming the hearts and the minds and the nation, that we, this nation of Trinidad and Tobago, can be a beacon of hope. That is what this lighthouse is about. You, of all people, should know about lighthouses. What do lighthouses represent? They offer to ships that are passing direction to prevent them from crashing onto the rocks. Are you see our nation crashing, about to crash on the rocks? You and I have the potential and the power to change that. Human resources will be empowered and evaluated. No more friends and family in jobs they're unqualified for. We will ensure that people are hired based on merit and performance. The NTA recognizes the power of the people, and our desire is to raise that bar for our young people. Help them to know their value. You know you don't know your value? You think that your value is that if you want to come to a meeting, that somebody will have to pay you. And you think that's where you're valuable. I want to tell you, you're sadly mistaken. Your value is when you decide that I am going to transform this nation with my vote. That's when you understand the value of your vote, value that you have inside of you. We will prepare you for leadership roles where you can be future MPs or hold any public office you desire. On my walkabout, I've encountered so many brilliant people. I've seen them. I said, oh my gosh, you have so much inside of you. Persons who can leave an indelible mark in Togo, Sangre Grande, and ultimately Trinidad and Tobago. It's the beginning of the journey to transformation. It's the journey that I desire to see in you. It's the journey that many mothers and fathers are looking for their own children. Do you know that Gary Griffith in the local elections walked through the hills of Laventil without any security? He was the only and is the only person who held positions such as Minister of National Security and of Commissioner of Police who walked in without being run out or water kicked on them. And you know what the mothers were saying? Gary, we love you. We love you, Gary, we want you. And you know what that says? It says these women, these mothers and fathers are crying out for their children to be delivered out of criminal activities. We want to see our children grow up and have grandchildren for us. And not for them to leave because they have been killed, for their grandparents to raise their grandchildren. We want to see our children become parents to their children. And that is what they were crying out for. What are you crying out for? Are you willing to join us on this journey to transformation? My friends, public services will be treated like service providers. If they don't deliver, they must answer. And if they excel, they must be rewarded. And as a servant of the people, I believe you must be given the opportunity to recall me. If I have failed you, if I have failed to represent you, do you think that I should give you 5 years of unrepresented service while you moan and groan? No. We should have the right to recall where if I have failed you, you can have me removed as your MP. But no one will want to do that. No government will dare do it. You know why? It's all about the power. And you are the one who gives the power. And you are the one who can take it away. I tell you, it's the beginning of the journey to transformation. Local communities will help manage their own priorities. That means Sangre Grande and Togo, you will have a voice in how money is spent and what projects are launched. My friends, I have served before as the MP for Komoto Manzanilla and as well as the Minister of the People and Social Development. And I can tell you, this is not boasting, I have delivered. I made a promise, and this promise was this, and I told all my constituents, my only desire is to leave this constituency better than I left it. I want to let you know, for donkey years I was this high going to Manzanilla, all my vacation, and we passing through Paul Street on a one-lane bridge. Huh? One-lane bridge. You all remember that? Anybody here? Anybody here? Remember that? Yes. All right. And guess what happened? Who now? Is it what? Still one lane? Is that a one lane? It's a two lane. And you know why? That was something I advocated for, and that is my legacy for Komoto Manzanilla. Don't let anybody tell you that I did not deliver. Performance beats old talk any day. And I'm asking you, to give me the opportunity to return to office with the same fire and same faith. What we are offering is not a wish. It is well researched. It is a well-researched roadmap, a plan built not on politics, but on principles. And the principle of good management is this: measure what you do. Be accountable for the outcome. And always, always put people before politics. The NTA is not just asking you to vote. We are inviting you to help us build a country where things work and people matter. And I promise you this, with proper management, Toko Sangre Grande will no longer be on the margins. We will be at the center of transformation. Let's manage our future together. Join the NTA on the journey to transformation. Thank you.
NTA, voting, we voting NTA. Voting, we voting NTA. Voting, we voting NTA. You're good to go, you're great to go on. Can't tell no lie, you are the man. Gary, hey!
Wow, what a powerful message. What a powerful message. And at the core of that message, it tells you, you remember the value of your vote. The value you have, the power that you have in that finger. That finger. You know on the 28th of April, where you put in your X, you put in your X for Miss Christine Nawala Hussein.
You know, Norman, it's not easy to step into public life. And, you know, Christine she's here with a wealth of experience. You have the best. I mean, think of it. Look around. Look at your options. Christine is the best candidate to represent you. She has done it before. She has a track record. Judge her by what she has done, not what she says she's going to do. Like many of them. Many politicians come and tell you, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Judge Christine by what she has done. It is there, the track record. Why take a chance with your future? And you know who stands next to Christine? Besides her? Captain Gary Griffith. You could imagine that support Christine will have with Captain Gary Griffith standing next to her, supporting her. You think they'll have any problems in this area? You think when Christine said, political leader, I mean, there's a hole down the road, there's a school, need repair. You think you're going to take long to get anything done with Christine and Gary Griffith as a political leader? No.
And from one powerful presentation to another powerful presentation, I'm going to ask to come to the podium someone that needs no introduction, none at all. Everybody knows him, and his performance stands for itself because he is the epitome of leadership and what has been done before by experience. Here I welcome to the stage none other than our political leader, Captain Gary Griffith.
So hard headed at first. My grandma didn't even believe in me. I kept going though. All I can say is I told you. Jury at the bank down the bar. You should have never doubted me. I'ma work to my last breath. I'ma hustle to my last breath. Yeah, you should have never doubted me. The pain and the struggle followed me.
Good evening.
My daddy never been there bothered me.
Good evening to all residents of Sangre Grande and environs, to the members, supporters, campaign team, governance team, candidates of the National Transformation Alliance, members of the media. Good evening to you all. I am glad to be here. First, I wish to apologize. I have never been late for anything in my life. And I think it has to do with my military training. I think it is rather disappointing when it is that we see political leaders bouncing halfway through a political meeting. I just came off the jumbo jet, so I just came straight from the airport, straight here, which is why I'm just a bit late. But I have never been late as a political leader. I've never been late for a political meeting. My personal view is I think it is blatant disrespect to the supporters of a political party. It is disrespect to the speakers when you just waltz in halfway through the meeting. Everything has to stop. You have to find a little child to put a garland on you. Then you have to throw rose, all on flowers, and then you have to put a big set of tassel group, beating and all that. You arriving late means that I really don't care who was speaking before. You arriving late means that I'm asking you all to be here for 7 o'clock, but I could come whenever I want. That is the lack of leadership by example. And I'm not calling any names, but that is the type, when you see leaders with that attitude, it shows their arrogance. My concept of leadership is one that I will not ask any one of you all here to do anything that I'm not prepared to do myself. So I thank all of you all for being here tonight. And let me get straight into this general election. This general election is one about choice. And you have options. In this area, Toko, Sangre Grande, you have a choice. And I ask you all to choose your member of parliament wisely. We have Christine, who we would have known hardest working, intelligent, incident-free, no cloud, no question over her head. And I think arguably she was one of the best members of parliament we would have seen in 2015 to 2020. She did her job, she did it well. And you have to look at comparison. The comparison is that some people will do anything to win a seat, to get in parliament. In this area, you all have others who are walking around with elements who I would have probably arrested. And people in Sangre Grande, you need to understand what I'm speaking about. And I want to draw reference to this similar to what took place in Davide O'Meara in 2010. There's a saying, when you play with filthy animals, you will get fleas. If you sleep with the devil, there's going to be a price to pay. We are seeing a candidate walking with probably every single gangster in this neck of the woods. And they're walking with and let me tell you, they're walking with these individuals because promises are being made. This is the same thing that took place in 2010 that caused one of the demise of the People's Partnership. You have these gang members, you have the criminal elements, they are walking with you to possibly intimidate you to make sure you vote for them, but also they are giving promises to these elements to say, support me, get young persons, influence them to vote for me, and in the back end, when I get into government, I will give you massive state contracts. There were 2 words for that in 2010 to 2015. We called it live sport. We must never let Sangre Grande end up with another live sport. That is what is going to happen. Which is why I'm asking you to choose your leaders wisely. Choose your leaders wisely. You bring anything of a live sport in this neck of the woods, what is going to happen is what happened in Davide O'Meara. Over 40 young men were killed because of that. Big contracts being given to the gangs. They take the extra capital, the funds, the profit. They purchase more illegal weapons. They hire more gang members. They put hits on other gang members in the community. They hire and pay off rogue elements in the police service, and it's all hell to pay. We must not allow it to happen. So, as I said, election is that of choice. You have a choice between Christine Nawala Hussain, nothing like that. Hardworking, accessible, willing to serve you. And you have another individual who is walking around with I arrested probably half of them when I was commissioner of police. That's who they're with. So be careful how you make this selection process. I also want to make mention of the fact that people will be hearing all sort of things. You're hearing in the polls, PNM said they're going to win. UNC said they're going to win. So everybody going to win in this election. Do not take chin up. There's no official poll that has been taking place. What is official? As I recall, in 2007, we had this situation with Winston Ducaran. And when Winston Ducaran was thinking of leaving the UNC, as he was the political leader, there was a poll done by British experts, and they said Winston Ducaran is going to leave with 1%. He left with 148,000 of that support base. And we are in that same position. And again, that's why when people ask, how come you're only speaking about the UNC? I'm speaking about the PNP. Again, going back, if after 10 years, anybody could still say that they are comfortable to vote for the PNM, I don't know what more I could tell you to convince you that you're going the wrong way. It means that you are so caught up in voting for the PNM, you can't change. But there are 350 to 370,000 people who vote outside of the PNM. That is the niche market I am trying to attract, to get them to understand you have choices other than the PNM. And there are 17 political parties, which is good. This augurs well for our democratic process. And anybody that will be in other parties that will tell you you're splitting the vote, you need to tell them, very simply, you're fast and out of place. Because there's no such thing as splitting of the vote. No vote belongs to any other political party. So if you do not want to vote for the PNM, you're not obligated to vote for another party. Another party, they love us so bad, they tell you yellow is the code, but we are blue. I don't understand the kind of madness there at all. It's like dotish soup they're drinking. And again, going back to your choice, I want to stick on the choices here, the choices between Christine Nawalo Hussain and others. When I was Minister of National Security, I will be the minister in Parliament and speaking about things and knowing that I just worked for several hours with the Commissioner of Police to arrest gang members by putting legislation and so forth. And then the very next day, an attorney will be sworn in as a senator behind me in Parliament, in the upper house, who was the person who got these individuals released to go back out onto the streets. And I had a problem with that. And people will say, well, he's an attorney, this is right. So let me clarify that. This is similar to somebody working during the day in a cow petting zoo, and you're petting the cows, and then in the night you're working in an abattoir. It doesn't work that way. There's a saying you cannot be half pregnant. You cannot be stating, well, I'm an attorney and my job is to be in Golden Grove every single day to find ways to get persons released as quickly as possible because of flaws in our justice system. And then in the same breath, I am now going to be in the National Security Council next to Kamala to be able to see what I could do to reduce crime. And therein lies the problem. You cannot be half pregnant. When it is you look at the choices we have here with Christine Nawalo Hussain and others, you need to make the right choice. We have a nation to defend. If you look at most of you all with your jerseys that you have on, it's in the back of your jersey. That nation to defend, it is about making sure we can protect Trinidad and Tobago from crime, from corruption, from evil elements, from persons who want to try to get into the government to be able to do 10 times worse of the live sport and the color me orange and the hoop of life that we have seen. We do not want that. You have to make that choice. I want to also mention to you about the concerns that I have seen of political parties trying to label others as the enemy. I will again continue to double down and ask each and every one of you all, no other political party, the red, the yellow, they are not the enemies of the NTA. We are all citizens of this great country. When you hear individuals speak, the PNM is the enemy and the UNC is the enemy. They don't know what enemy is. I know what enemy is. When I trained in arguably one of the best military academies in the world, I was actually training, preparing for counter-revolutionary warfare, counter-terrorism acts against the Irish Republican Army. When I returned to Trinidad and Tobago, as soon as I landed, I was the youngest officer to serve my country during the attempted coup with bullets flying over my head. When it is I went to the United Nations in Haiti, trying to protect and fight for democracy in Haiti for 6 months, getting the first Trinidad and Tobago citizen to have a United Nations peacekeeping medal. When it is I became Commissioner of Police and there were 43 death threats to me and my family because I was taking the fight to the criminal elements. That is the enemy. The enemy are those persons who try to affect and take away your most fundamental right, which is that of safety and security. That is the enemy. So when people try to label the others as the enemy, I will continue to use a line here throughout the night. You cannot expect to want to lead the country when you continue to show that you hate half of the country. It doesn't work that way. And recently, which was the joke of the day, an individual decides to sue me. Now, this is an individual who has said the nastiest things about people, and that is a perfect example. This is an individual who has referred to women with the B word. He has called people canal conks, latrine rats. He has stated along the line that when a member of parliament died, that all of you all should burn, you evil son of a so-and-so. Remember this. If anyone votes for the UNC, you're bringing that Philip Alexander into government. You're bringing that into parliament that gives him the opportunity to say what he wants about any of you all. And under parliamentary privileges, he can't be sued because he has a law team. His legal team have a 100% record. They've lost every single case. So at least they are consistent, and they will continue to be consistent when I deal with him, because The man actually boasted on our show with Paul Richards that he is a social media prostitute or words to that effect. And that is what he does. We have him quoted stating that he says, I was paid to lie to help the UNC. We have all of the quotes. That is the character of who it is we will bring into parliament. So if anybody in Sangre Grande decides to vote for Wayne Sturge, you are voting for Philip Alexander to be in parliament, to be in government. I plead with this country, do not put God past your throat. I have nothing against the UNC, but when you bring an individual like that says the most nasty, disgusting things about people, about their character, about their family, about their children, you don't want that. That is what has destroyed our country. That is what has destroyed politics. That's why young persons do not want to be politicians. When they see that disgusting type of behavior, we don't want that. So what we are trying to do is to try to build the country. And persons with that type of attitude, it is unacceptable, and we must reject it comprehensively, and do that on April the 28th. Again, I will continue to state, you cannot expect to want to run a country and lead a country if you continue to show that you hate half of the country. There's a video recently with an individual in a yellow jersey, and he was boasting that he intends to make sure he ties up persons on election night if you don't work for the UNC. Now, he was arrested, but that is the type of vulgar, disgusting behavior we are trying to avoid. And you know, not one person in the UNC has condemned that act, condemned that action. What we are seeing, in fact, are persons, I think Christine mentioned it, people are being paid $350 to vote for a party. People are being given refrigerators and stoves, even in Sangre Grande. Take it, you know, but make sure don't get tied up to go down in that road. But if you have that degree of ethics or lack of, that you can try to bribe citizens for their vote, that is the type of ethics you're going to have when you go into government. And you don't want those people. So I am here simply to continue to give you all the option that you have to make a choice. And you know, sometimes people will vote for the PNM or the UNC or the ABC or the XYZ based on loyalty. But blind loyalty is not going to put food on your table. Blind loyalty is not going to protect your wife from being raped, your daughter from being kidnapped, your son from being killed, your assets from being seized. You need to make a choice based on which group, which of individuals have the capability to serve you. And that's why we were very careful. We have 17 candidates. We could have gone with the 41, but we decided to be very selective. And that's why I could feel comfortable to know the 17 candidates that we have on the table are persons with the ethics, the loyalty, and the patriotism to make Trinidad and Tobago a great nation. So, as we go on to choices, because I want to just deal quickly pertaining to the roadmap. As we deal with choices, and again, I will mention that many political parties will speak about the importance. The major concern is crime, national security. There's no question at all that when you look at the batting lineup of all the political parties, we have the best batting lineup to provide you with your fundamental rights of safety and security. It has even reached that point. It has even reached a point where a political party, everything they have spoken about, they got it straight here, right here. And that's why they speak it and they cannot say anything further. The Ministry of Justice, I drafted that for the People's Partnership in 2010 to 2015. They did not understand how to use it. I drafted that to ensure we can reduce recidivism by improving rehabilitation in the prison, making sure that persons wouldn't be in remand for a longer period than the maximum sentence. All of that, nothing was done because they didn't understand it, because I was just the National Security Advisor. So it flopped. The Ministry of Justice flopped. They spoke about a Ministry of Home Affairs and Ministry of Defense. I drafted it. They have never been able to know how to implement it because it was here. They spoke about the Community Comfort Patrol. I was the person who drafted it as the Minister of National Security, so they do not know how to implement it. They spoke about the $1 million for persons killed in the line of duty, protective service officers. I was the one who drafted that as the Minister of National Security. The $1,000 for every person who's a member of the protective services. This was done by me. I drafted the document. I brought it to Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, and I showed that if we shut down SORT, the Special Anti-Crime Unit, we were paying $20 million a month to maintain SORT. We had 20,000 odd members of the protective services. Do the maths, $1,000 a person. That was drafted by myself. Then what I find very much of concern is that you go now into dealing with firearms. And you realize, okay, Gary Griffith seemed to get real popularity because of him giving firearms. So let me go one further. Guns for all. Everybody will get a gun. It reminds me of opera. You get a gun, you get a gun, you get a gun. That's the Kamala way of dealing with national security. That is madness. It is just as bad as Sleepy Hines when he didn't want to give firearms to anyone. So you have one political party not wanting to give to any law-abiding citizen, and you have the other one wanting to give it out like it is doubles. That is madness. What I was able to do, where Stephen Williams and others would have given 300 odd firearms a year, I was able to give 1,000 for law-abiding citizens and 1,000 to members of the protective services. 35,000 applicants out there. So when Hines talked his nonsense to say that we were giving out too many firearms, it would have taken us 35 years for me to deal with the backlog. 35 years, but he thought it was too much because he probably never held a water gun, and this was a Minister of National Security. But if we go anything over that 1,000 per annum, roughly looking at that, that's about 3 firearms being given out a day. You have to do comprehensive background check. You have to check with the spouse. You have to check the finance. You have to check with the neighbors. You have to do so many things. And it's because of that, that in those 6,000 firearms issued by myself, 3,000 to citizens and 3,000 to law enforcement officials, not one was lost, not one was stolen, not one was used for a crime. And that is how you have to deal with issuing firearms. So the stupidity of the UNC in stating guns for all if you're a law-abiding citizen, hear what? At least 98% of this country are law-abiding citizens, because anybody, you could get a certificate of character. There are many persons who beat their wives, who are criminal elements that have not yet been caught. So you could easily get a certificate of character and buy a gun. That cannot be the right way. That UNC way that is a recipe for disaster. They then go to comments. I want us to be very careful as politicians. When you make a comment and tell people, empty the clip, you see that statement? This is again is by a civilian with absolutely no training, knowledge, qualification, or experience in law enforcement. When you tell someone empty the clip, you are basically talking about excessive use of force, regardless of the fact if somebody is neutralized and he is shot and he is down on the ground. She's basically stating go over that person and just keep letting go lead. That is the most irresponsible comment I have ever heard by any politician in my life. And she continues to boast about it. And when you know someone who's lack of confidence, so because when you're not sure what you're saying, you will turn around, Annie, and that's right. I'm Tim. That's not true. That is what she does, because she lacks confidence, so she looks around the audience, look for somebody, and asks if it is true, so the person will say yes, so she feels comfortable about herself. I can tell you what you're saying, Kamala, is total nonsense. It is irresponsible. It is unacceptable. You cannot be telling people empty the clip. We then go to stand your ground. Again, lack of knowledge and understanding. How many of you all jump over your neighbor's yard to pick a mango? How many of you all in your school days when your football went over the yard, you're going to collect a football? This wacky lady is telling people, stand your ground. If people come in your yard, you have a right to take them out. You don't. You must only be able to use that type of force if it is something that is going to affect you. So the stand your ground is a very dangerous tool. And as much as nobody could be more militant than me, more aggressive than myself, but at no time I will ever allow any law enforcement official to abuse his authority. Likewise, law-abiding citizens. Persons who have a firearm must be properly trained to understand. If somebody is just walking across in your yard and it is your yard, you're trying to say that I have a right to shoot that person. If somebody is shot, it is my right to stand my ground. Because she thinks that those words sound good. It does not. We cannot continue to spit hate and division into this country. You cannot want to lead a country if you continue to show that you hate half of the country. The NTA, I also would like to speak about promises that we promise to stick to the policies of principle over politics. I recall that when I was Commissioner of Police, there was a massive concern pertaining to the criminal elements in the police service. $100 million in overtime corruption. We had over 250 police officers claim they were working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I found police officers controlling drug blocks, police officers using vehicles to escort criminal elements, police officers in the Southwestern Peninsula refusing to be polygraphed and ask the simple question, do you financially benefit from illegal drugs, weapons, and human trafficking entering the Southwestern Peninsula? Some of them didn't want to answer that. So all of these persons I reassigned, I suspended, I charged. So I stepped on big toes. It reached the point where even police officers were involved in a clandestine plot to have me removed to state that I was involved in some activity targeting an individual, not knowing the individual was my informant. And he wrote the whole sworn affidavit to state that there was a massive conspiracy by these criminal elements. That is the type of problems we have now in the police service. But it can change, and the reason I want to bring that is because it comes right back to this, transformation. This roadmap towards transformation is what it is. If it is that we could have transformed the police service, the reason we were able to transform the police service is using these same principles in this roadmap towards transformation. We transformed the police service as being seen in 2018 as being corrupt, as being incompetent, as being useless. 14% public trust and confidence. In 3 years, it moved to 59%, which was the highest in any arm of the public service. So from being seen as the most incompetent, the most corrupt, the same police officers in the same police service, they became known as the best of the best, Trinidad and Tobago's finest. Everybody loved the police service. Children wanted to be police officers. And it's the same police service. 3 years later, it is now down to 8%. It is now down to, again, to the lowest. And it is the same police officers just about. So it shows that leadership has a big part to play in it. Accountability has a part to play in it. Proper management and measuring performance. If what we did to transform the police service like that, using those principles, under this roadmap for national transformation, we can do the same thing with every arm of the public service. So imagine, if it is we transform the police service, we could do, and we do the same thing for health, education, the economy, public utilities, youth development, sport, culture. We can transform Trinidad and Tobago. It is not difficult. What it means is the political will, which is what we intend to provide. And when I speak about principle over politics, there's going to be a time until the 17 candidates, the 16 of you all, hopefully most if not all of you all, could become members of parliament or to serve your country in some manner. Life is not going to end for us on the 28th of April. We have a role here, the NTA. We will continue to have that role because we represent that bridge constituency, that third constituency, whatever you want to call us, those independent voters. And by us being there, we have to continue to represent those individuals who are not PNM till are dead and are born at UNC and are dead at UNC. We have to represent them. It started in 1981 with the ONR with 91,000 votes. 10 years later, it moved to the National Alliance for Reconstruction. That was the third party on their own. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar was there. I think she lost her deposit. They got 127,000 votes. And then the Congress of the People in 2007, they moved to 148,000 votes. We have now reached that point now where 17, 18 years later, the new third party is the NTA. And we have a job to do, but we must make sure we stand on principle. We stand on things that we would have seen from the PNM and the UNC we must not accept. I stood up against my own government with life sport as the Minister of National Security. I am in Parliament speaking about every single thing. I was threatened. A minister said, if you don't bring the facts, well then somebody has to resign. When I started bringing all the facts, the data, the documents, the finance, everything, to show that life sport was littered with bad management, corruption, criminal elements, and a byproduct of murders. My own government was saying, long live life sport, and banging the table. There were 29 members of parliament in the lower house, and Gary Griffith was standing up against his own government because it was wrong. That is what I want you all to be. Not just the 17 candidates, but each and every one of you all who support that blue. Not the UNC blue, but the real blue, the NTA blue. It then continued. It continued when it is a minister was charged and I had information, and the police asked if I was able to prepare the information. And I said that I am not going to lie. Well, who tell me do that? I was pulled in by ministers who said, Gary, just say you had amnesia. Do not know anybody who want a walk. I could have easily said that and remained as Minister of National Security. I didn't need a walk. I stood on principle. My parents made a very good child at being myself, and I stood on principle. And I said, fire me if you have to fire me. If it is that I have information, I am not going to lie, and I will give it to the police. And it's the same thing that continued even when I was Commissioner of Police. When I was Commissioner of Police, if I was being pressured to deal with specific matters, I said, no, I'm not going to. When I was Commissioner of Police, the then Prime Minister, unfortunately, was not advised to understand that he didn't understand public health regulations, which meant that if 5 people are lying in a house by a pool, you couldn't do anything because that is your private property. But if those same 5 people left and went outside to swim in the sea, I could arrest them because it was public health regulation. He didn't understand it. And I stood for him and I said, I am not going to arrest persons in their home because it was wrong. It was illegal for me to do so. And had I done so, we would have copied exactly the stupidity that took place under the UNC when Stephen Williams foolishly probably wilt under pressure, and 500 people were arrested, and now we're still paying for that through our taxpayers' money. So that is the type of principle I want us to stand firm. Do not in any way wilt under pressure because you need a job, because you're being pressured by persons in your group. Yes, there's something called teamwork, and that is why the difference with me being in the military, nobody could be more team player than me. I will be the first person standing up at the front line. But there's something called an illegal order, an illegal command. So this stupidity when you hear these politicians speaking about that, Kamala is my general and Stuart Young is my general. There's no such thing. You're not general. None of you in the military other than me. I wore combats. I carried weapons. I was trained to fight. But I understand there's something called an illegal command. So if at any time your prime minister, persons in state boards, persons in your political party, they are saying and doing the wrong thing, the unethical thing, the illegal thing, you need to stand up for Trinidad and Tobago. I now want to speak quickly about political analysts. Tim, how the time going there? Then what? All right, no, that's 5 minutes before 9 p.m. Political analysts. We have to be very careful. This is going to be a very silly season. There are people who are referring to themselves as political analysts. And I'm going to just do a little trick here. I'm going to put my neck out. What has happened recently is that Shane Mohammed and Indira Rampasad, these persons refer to themselves as political analysts. And I want the media continues to promote these individuals. Every single comment made by Shane Mohammed and Indira Rampasad is how great the UNC is. If Dwight York team beats Mexico in the CONCACAF Gold Cup, they're going to praise the UNC for it. That cannot be a political analyst. So people are using their positions as a political analyst in a way to try to deliberately support a political party that you obviously have bias for. And that cannot be right. I want to look at anybody here under 30 years old, between 18 and 30 who could vote next year, this year. Anybody? Stand up. Who's John Jeremy? You ever arrest my case? Anybody? Somebody else? 18 to 30. I want to show a point to the media and to the country. Anybody? 18 to 30. Who could vote? Anybody? Tell me about Kennedy Swart Singh. So, but Shane Mohammed has the audacity to say that John Jeremy joining the UNC is a bombshell. Anybody between the age of 18 to 35, that is, you're talking about 250,000 new voters, don't even know what is a John Jeremy. The last time this man was involved in public life was in 2009. Same thing with Kennedy Swart Singh. So people who have not been in public life for 15, 16, 17 years, this man as a political analyst is so ignorant that he could say that this is a bombshell. That is like saying, young lady, you know who's Chandra Sharma? That's like saying Chandra Sharma and Adish Paradigam Nanan, who decide to go across and join the PNM. It is a bombshell for the PNM. Nobody knows who's Chandra Sharma and Adish Paradigam Nanan. They were members of parliament in the UNC. So what? Because people left politics and public life 16 years ago and they decided to jump on a platform, you as a political analyst have the audacity to say that is a bombshell. This is done deliberately to put in the minds of people, let me vote for that party. And shame on you, shame. Because you now you're trying to use your position as a political analyst to try to influence an election. Because your listener, listen to Shane Mohammed and Indira Rampasad. Every single comment is to praise the UNC and to attack everybody else. So the media, you have to please stop allowing these political analysts who are really and truly activists for a political party trying to influence people, because every single comment they make is only aligned to support a political party. We need to be neutral, we need to be impartial, we need to be honest. I now would like to go on to the manifesto itself. This here is not a manifesto. So the Trinidad and Tobago, because everybody, the media, they've been asking, where's your manifesto? Let me tell you what a manifesto is. A manifesto is something that has gone on for the last 6 odd decades in Trinidad and Tobago by the major political parties. And it is nothing more than lies. 90% of the manifesto, they don't implement. And we are so naive that for the last 60 odd years, all that we say is, woo, they're going to build bridges, they're going to build hospitals, they're going to build police stations. Wow. So it is lies because they don't do it. Or if they do decide to build it, they have not stated how they expect to get the revenue to offset the expenditure. So when they do that, it is going to turn to either devaluation, trying to take a loan, or raising taxes. Any one of the three becomes a byproduct towards increasing the cost of goods and services, inflation, unemployment, and guess what? Increased crime. And that is what we have suffered for so long. You pull this manifesto, you come with all of these promises, so either you can't implement it, and if you're forced to implement it, because some of them go out of their way to implement it, and let me tell you why. When you have to build, say, children's hospital or whatever, and you know it really costs 50 million, but you put 200 million, you know now the same contractor who built it is going to give you back 50 million in the back end to help in the same campaign that's going on now, so that you could try to influence and buy fridge and stove for the same voters so that you will come back in government. It's a vicious cycle. And that is what we have to monitor. So they make these promises with these massive projects, no cost-benefit analysis, no research, no data, no documentation, no justification, no way to analyze the demand, analyze the supply, ascertain whether it is we have the training, we have the technology, we have the equipment, we have the tools, we have the staff, we have the training, nothing. So what you do, a political party will say, okay, let me go on Google, 50 ways to improve health. You come with something to build a burns unit in Point Lisas. Nobody has been burnt in 50 years in Point Lisas. But when it says you put 50 new things for health, and that comes with over 100 million for each item, that's $5 billion. So you have now stated in your thing you want to put $5 billion in extra in things for health, but you're not stating where you're getting the $5 billion from. So it's either you're going to lie, or you're going to try to, as I said, increase taxes, get a loan, or devalue the dollar. It goes back to the PSA when they stated 10% is the lowest, and political parties agreeing to it. I have to be honest. I am not here to tell you I'm going to fix every road, every bridge. No, but we are here to ensure that we are going to utilize our limited resources in an effective and efficient manner. And how do we do this? We do this not by what we would have seen. One political party is stating, let's form a ministry of AI. For God's sake, you already have a ministry of digital transformation. Why you need a ministry of AI? You just have to assign that as a unit into the ministry of digital transformation. Another says, let's have a ministry of efficiency. You don't need a ministry of efficiency. What you need is to make sure that all ministries, through this, we can measure their performance, make them accountable. If the Ministry of Efficiency is not working, you're going to form a Ministry of Efficiency to look after the Ministry of Efficiency, and then you'll continue going like that? No. You need to make sure we look at these things. So the roadmap towards national transformation is not one that we're going to tell you all the million different things we're going to do because of wild ideas, and we're not stating how we have revenue to offset it. Going back to the PSA, 10%, yeah, we'd love to give everybody 50%. But when you do that, and you increase your expenditure by billions, how are you now getting the revenue to balance the expenditure? When you don't do that, that is where you start to get inflation. That's when you get, as I said, increase in cost of goods and services. Persons become unemployed. With that, it becomes a byproduct to crime. So we have to be very careful with these stupid comments about that word manifesto. Manifesto has been one that has been used to deceive Trinidad and Tobago citizens. What we have here, this roadmap towards transformation, is exactly what was done to transform the police service. And the reason I could use the police service, as I mentioned, is that people didn't believe that the police service could have turned around. And if it is, we can use the same tools of proper leadership, making sure that every single ministry is accountable, making sure we can provide proper management and measure their performance. That is where I'm stating that we can improve Trinidad and Tobago. Someone said that the Prime Minister 2 years ago, he said, if he could get 10 Gary Griffiths, he can transform Trinidad and Tobago in cabinet. And you don't need 10 Gary Griffiths. What we need are the 17 candidates from the National Transformation Alliance. And again, there are certain things that, politicians just love coming up with these wild names and bring up all these different things to show, look at what we're going to do to improve health. Let me give you a perfect example with health. Trinidad and Tobago, in life expectancy, our life expectancy is about 73 years average per person. We're saying not bad. We are ranked 110th in the world, I think now. 110th out of 200, 73 years old. Other countries, the top 45 are over 80 years old. That is their life expectancy. Our job and our intention is to try to lift that life expectancy to over 80 years old. And it is possible. It is not going to be possible if political parties speak about what we are going to do after the person suffers the ailment. Because 75 or 80% of deaths is because of just three things: cancer, diabetes, and heart. The problem we have is we don't have proper primary health care. If you want to call it healthcare preventative maintenance, making sure that the person can be checked prior to it reaching that point where there's no hope for return. And I'll give you an example. Everybody loves to eat doubles. They love the items that you clog up all your artery. So your artery is clogged, you don't realize. By the time the arteries are clogged because you're not being tested, you're not being checked, it's clogged, then you spend several months before you clear it. By that time, the heart is damaged and it has diminished your lifespan. Same thing, let's go to cancer. The cost for a PET scan is about $25,000. A mammogram is just, people might say, just a couple $100. Very few people could, not everybody could afford it. So because they hold back on doing these regular checks, the cancer could now come about. And then when you get the cancer now, you're fighting now to play keep up because the cancer is starting to spread. And by the time you finally get the public service to provide what is required through the testing and the surgery and so forth, it has already spread and your lifespan has now diminished. If it is that we could provide this type of primary health care for persons with cancer, being able to be regularly tested, that type of preventative healthcare maintenance, same thing with your heart, same thing with diabetes, provide citizens with the opportunity to make sure in advance, hey, red flag, we're now seeing something here, and you start to check it immediately. It is going to greatly lift up your life expectancy. So our job in NTA is to get life expectancy for Trinidad and Tobago to move from 73 years to over 80 years and put us in the top 45 of the world. And just before I close again, there's a lot that we will be speaking about. We have just one more main meeting in St. Joseph next week, Wednesday. I would like each and every one of you all to be there. And as I mentioned, we speak about national security, no political party has the tools, the technology, the capability, and the political will understanding this roadmap to make you safe again. I'll just give you some quick points off the top of my head that I wrote of things that we would have done in the police service to transform them. And every single one has been shut down or dismantled based on ineffective use and understanding modern 21st century policing. The establishment of a Commissioner's Command Center, the establishment of the Emergency Response Patrol. That was 100 vehicles strategically placed all around the country, ensuring that you can get a 5-minute response on most distress calls. That is what diminished those problems that we had throughout the country, because the criminals realized that there was going to be a rapid response and there were consequences. They outfitted the 85 ERP vehicles with cameras, GPS, and real-time communication. Deployed in excess of 100 motorcycles forming the Highway Patrol Unit. You notice all these things I'm speaking about no longer there. For the first time ever, establishing body cameras to be used by police officers, the establishment of the Special Operation Response Team, the Special Investigative Unit, the Missing Persons Unit, the establishment of the Coastal and Riverine Patrol Unit, which is the police marine branch that was shut down for decades. We rescued 12 kidnapped victims. Never before in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, we actually rescued kidnapped victims. When you hear the media, oh, this person was rescued, you weren't rescued. What happened? The ransom was paid or the person escaped. We were able, under the police service, for the first time ever, using technology, pinpointing what was happening, kicking down doors, intercepting vehicles, and be able to rescue kidnapped victims and arresting the kidnappers. That never happened before in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. That happened in 2018 to 2021, and that put an end to kidnapping. This also put an end to extortion. It put an end to home invasion. Nobody could stop somebody jumping over your wall, but because of our rapid response, by the time you jump over that wall, by the time you jump back over, we were waiting on you. And that is what put an end to home invasion. It's what put an end to extortion. We had a number of different things. I could go on and on. The gender-based violence unit. That gender-based violence unit, we have a serious problem in Trinidad and Tobago with abuse of elderly children and women. And what happened before myself as commissioner, a woman would be badly beaten or raped, go into a police station and the police officer say you're improperly dressed, you leave the station, or put you there to sit down there for 24 hours until you don't bathe until we come and deal with you. The gender-based violence unit was a specifically trained unit, highly trained to understand the importance of confidentiality and sensitivity to such crime. We will come to your home. We had delivery service. We had online reporting. We had the police app that was the largest app in Trinidad and Tobago. There were so many other things.
the establishment of body cameras, real-time video footage on cameras, getting back to a National Operations Center, Commissioner's Command Center. We moved to forming of the Detective Development Program, the establishment of a school security unit. All of these things have been shut down, dismantled, the establishment of a legal quarrying unit, which even right here in this area, we were able to deal with. All of these things have been dismantled and watered down. What was the end result? There was a 70% reduction, or 100% reduction in kidnapping, 71% reduction in robbery, 22% reduction in housebreaking, and everything just went down and down and down. We could do this. The same way it is we were able to transform the police service, we could do this throughout Trinidad and Tobago. The concern with border protection, we have the maritime security wall. That maritime security wall is going to secure our borders with a 3-tiered approach. From the shoreline to 2 miles out, interceptors from the Coast Guard and the Police Marine Branch patrolling in that area. From 2 miles to 10 miles, we have the medium-range patrol vessels. From 12 miles to 200 miles, which is your exclusive economic zone. That's the type of larger vessels, coastal long-range vessels, to patrol and secure our assets in that area. All of this monitored with a drone, everything being fed back to a National Operations Center in real time for an immediate interception, and then being utilized, the utilization of the defense force that have not been used since 1990 practically, still waiting for a war to take place. There's a lot that we can do, but as I said, it requires that degree of political will. So before I close, I am asking us again to unite Trinidad and Tobago. There's a strong possibility this election could even end up 2021. Just one NTA candidate could win. But if you have that one candidate can cause the unification of Trinidad and Tobago. If you all recall, Basio Pandey made a comment like that once. So he wanted a country of national unity. When it was 1818, he tried it, and it was rejected. This can be an opportunity for us to unite Trinidad and Tobago. That one seat that we have would be the deciding factor to see the direction Trinidad and Tobago can go. Hearing political leaders speak about, I love you, I love you, I love you. You love people, but the only time you've ever walked is when the car parks you up and you have to take half an hour to get to the podium and walk back out. That is not love. Love is when it is that somebody, and as I said, I don't know many of you all, so I don't love you all. In fact, I don't like you. But I will work for you, and I will put my life on the line for you, and I will protect you, and I will serve you. And that is what politicians should be, honest. You can't say you love somebody if you don't know them. Because, again, you love somebody, but if they decide to leave your party and go elsewhere, you don't love them again. They're the macarams, they're dissidents. That is not democracy, that is hypocrisy. My intention, again, some of my best friends are PNM, UNC, it doesn't matter to me. I select my friends based on the persons who I know I could trust and I believe in. You must not in any way cause any senior person to cause you to have some degree of hatred and bitterness for persons because they have different political affiliation. It may not be the right one, but it doesn't mean that they are the enemy. So what we need to do is to work together, understand that we have a long road ahead. You need to make sure to the candidates, I need you all to do the same thing that I would have done. Make yourself, I was the most accessible public servant in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. You need to do the same yourself. Politicians spend all their time before general election giving you all the promises and then they disappear. I was the only mad person, only public servant in history, decided to give you a personal number as Commissioner of Police. And I paid for it. 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll get a call, Mr. Griffith, my wife ain't come home, she gone with Mr. So-and-so. So I had that problem, but still, it allowed me to be able to save lives, to be able to deal with kidnappings, to be able to get information to solve crime. And you need to keep that to ensure you're accessible along that line. So I will ask everyone, believe in the NTA. Trust the NTA, support the NTA, and I promise you, we will make Trinidad and Tobago safe again. I thank you.
Where you going? Don't leave yet, don't leave yet. NTA candidates, all NTA candidates on stage right now. Let me hear you say NTA? 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 It's so much teeth having NTA. How them candidates moving? Gary didn't fit these candidates on them at all. How they moving slow, so? It's 17, we calling the big 17, we calling the big 17.
Yeah, baby! You know it's all about NTA.
Let's welcome the big 17. Preparate yourselves. Let me have a big round of applause for these folks, all of these candidates. say that. Hey, hey. I listening to everybody. They want something new for the country. So the people say they voted for NTA. Everybody say they voted for NTA. Voting NTA, voting NTA. On election day we voted for NTA. Voting NTA, voting NTA. On election day we voted for NTA. Sing it.
All the people say we voted for NTA.
Screw the ball. Screw the ball. Hey. You know what happened? The people in Point want someone with vision. The people in Point want to move beyond. Sacrifice their vote, Mr. Errol Fabian. Yes, we voted for Mr. Errol Fabian. They voted Fabian. They voted Fabian. Every election say they voted Errol Fabian. Mr. Errol Fabian. He is the one. So on election day they voted Errol Fabian. All the people say they voted Errol Fabian. Point people, point people, point people. Hey, boy. Errol and Gary, them care about we. Errol and Gary is love and safety. So on election day, NTA all the way. All the people say NTA all the way. Voting NTA, voting NTA. All the people say they voted NTA all the way. Voting NTA, voting NTA. On election day, we voted NTA all the way. On election day, we say we vote NTA. Friends, thank you so much for joining us out here. Toko people, we love you. Toko Komuto, thank you so very much. That's the name of the constituency, yes? Sangre Grande, I know something was Caliwampas, thank you. On Wednesday, we'll be in St. Joseph for another big public meeting. It's our final big meeting, our final public meeting. So please come out, and don't just come out, bring somebody with you. Bring somebody with you. It's time for us to move into our brand new future, a future of transformation, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for us to go blue. Time for us to go blue. Pew! 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 Let's go blue! Voting NTA, voting NTA.